following program on Other Derana 24 is classified for general audience. It is intended for all ages. It contains little or no violence, no strong language, and little or no sexual dialogue or situations.
Hello and welcome to Business Best, a platform in which we explore the hidden gems in businesses when it comes to the Sri Lankan economic condition, and of course to inspire all of our viewers on starting off their own ventures and of course to foster entrepreneurship. Today we are in conversation with EverHealthy Private Limited, a company like no other, company that you will of course find out brings in a peculiar product into the market. And today we are in conversation with the founder and the CEO of EverHealthy Private Limited, Mr. Chathura Kalansooriya. Welcome to the show, Mr. Chathura.
Thank you very much. Great to be here.
So let's start from the beginning itself.
Yes.
Who is Mr. Chathura Kalansooriya? What makes Chathura Chathura?
Well, I would say I'm jack of all trades. Basically, if you take my experience and my academics, I'm an engineer by academics, and I have done masters in HR, and then I wanted to start a business. So that's what I had in my mind all this time. Then I started a business basically almost a decade ago now. Then that's how Himalayan Pink Salt and the EverHealthy was born.
So that's where the company incorporated. An engineer who had a little bit of a different dream and then ventured into the unknown to so hopefully venture in and be successful at it.
Definitely.
All right, so let's get to the chase. Let's talk about EverHealthy Private Limited and of course its product, the Himalayan Pink Salt. How did EverHealthy Private Limited come to be? What is the business's journey?
So in 2014, I actually studied in India.
Okay.
So when I was studying in India, Himalayan Pink Salt was something that was used widely in India. So I used to bring some samples back home when I was coming for vacations. And then I basically liked the product. So the first vacation I came for summer, I started and registered a company to import Himalayan Pink Salt. And then we did some small research. We used the product for a couple of years. So I came back to Sri Lanka after graduating, and I never wanted to start a job as an engineer. So I started importing Himalayan Pink Salt. So that's how the company was born, and through in and out there were so many challenges, as you said. So it's a huge journey. So I started just by myself. And my family, especially my mother, father, and my sister, they were like my first employees.
Definitely.
Right? So we were, as a family, we started it. Now we have grown into a range of Himalayan salt products. Actually, we are the only company in Sri Lanka specialized for Himalayan pink salt products.
So let's get into your business.
Yes.
I think this is a decade-long journey that we need to talk about when it comes to today's episode of Business Best. Now, pink salt is your most significant and your prominent product out of EverHealthy Private Limited. Now, Ms. Chathura, when it comes to pink salt as a product, or even the word pink salt, not a lot of Sri Lankans know about pink salt. What we know is a normal salt that we use in our normal kitchens and whatever culinary dishes that we do. Pink salt, the name usually comes to us as Sri Lankans is when we watch a foreign program or sort of like a cooking show or something. It's the fancy salt that all the brilliant chefs and celebrities use, but never do we find it in Sri Lanka, and frankly speaking, not a lot of us know what pink salt is. So let's start there. What exactly is Himalayan pink salt?
Well, that's an excellent question because there's a lot of discussions going on here and there. So basically, there are two ways that we get salt. You know, the sea salt that we get by evaporation, by the seawater evaporation, and then there's another type of salt that is called rock salt. So that is made by the deposits of seawater that's over millions of years ago.
Right.
So we are talking about 200 plus millions. The earth was a water globe back then. So when the mountains were erupting, those sea water has been deposited under the mountain beds. And now there are so many salt mines around the world. If you take like Poland, Romania, then countries like that, there are so many rock salt mines. But the mine in Pakistan, formerly India, is the one that is good for consumption.
Right.
So the rest of the other mines, they use it for industrial purposes like de-icing and all these purposes.
Got it.
So the Himalayan pink salt, its technical term is rock salt because it is extracted from underground salt mines. That is why they are known as rock salt. So it's not the sea salt. It's a different type of salt. And to break something that's a very big common misconception is that it's not as same as the sea salt, right? And another thing, you know, Ayurveda Sahindalunu. Technically, Sahindalunu is Himalayan rock salt. So I have gone through the literature of it. So there's a book called Ayurvedic Pharmacopoeia. In that book, they have defined Sahindalunu as a salt that is found near mountains and flow in Sindh, an area called Sindh back in India. So Sindh came into Saindava, which again came into Sahindalunu in Sri Lankan context. So that's the backstory of it. So rock salt is Sahindalunu, and it does not cause you loose motion. That's another misconception, right? You must have heard, don't eat Sahindalunu, that will cause you loose motion.
Yes.
Because back in the day, there was a bit of a loss in the translation that magnesium sulfate was considered as Sahindalunu. So we have some leaflets and things that were printed probably like a decade, 2 decades back. There it was mentioned as magnesium sulfate. That is the reason. But the original pink salt is Sahindalunu, and it does not cause loose motion. And we have proved that with the Ayurvedic department, and we are also registered as importer and a supplier for Himalayan pink salt, even for Ayurveda and for the Ayurvedic shops in Sri Lanka as well.
I think that's why a lot of Sri Lankans are a bit iffy about trying new things, because there are so many misconceptions when it comes to especially food and beverages that we as Sri Lankans are not very versed in. And when it comes to pink salt, now even though we thought it was something that is out of this world, out of this country, it's just a westernized thing, that maybe it's just sodium chloride with a little bit of pink. It's not what it is. It has been recognized in Sri Lankan Ayurvedic books as well. It has been in the country for some time. It's just that we didn't exactly know what it was. So like you mentioned, now when it comes to pink salt, there's a lot of controversy around it.
Yes.
Of course, people say there are a lot of health problems that are caused with it. People really don't know where it's from. People don't know whether it's normal salt with a little bit of coloring. How did you and your company, as a new venture that came into the market, and pink salt, of course, in Sri Lanka, as you mentioned, there is no other company that does this particular sort of business. How did you face it? How did you navigate the business through this?
So of course, there was a lot of challenges when you try to bring a new product into the market, especially when it comes to approvals. But what we did was we followed the entire, by the books process. So we are registered, we gave the samples, and also we do the testings. So when we bring a new batch, we do the testing for heavy metals and all the other things to make sure that it is good for health. So we do the testing, and then we have all the approvals for the shipment, especially if you remember, probably a couple of years back when there was this financial crisis, there were a lot of restrictions and challenges when it comes to imports. So what we had to, get import license and all these approvals in order to import this product. Since we have all the approvals, even though it was challenging, we managed to survive, and we are still surviving. And also there's another thing now, we know pink salt, like it's a consumable one, but there's a range of other products as well. You must have heard about Himalayan salt lamps, right? This used for all this meditation, yoga practitioners, they use this a lot. And then there are Himalayan salt cooking slabs used by restaurants. They use it for cooking food, you can use it for barbecues and all these things. And then not only humans, animals also need salt. So we are working with, for an example, we are working with Ceylon Riding Club in Port City. So we are giving this to horses. So horses need salt. There's a specific product called horse licks, so animal licks. So that is for the horses. So this is not just, Himalayan pink salt is not just a salt where you can use it for culinary purposes. There are so many other applications and variety of uses. Even the powder, you can use it for cosmetics, you can use it as medicine, as a food soak. There's like a range of products, cosmetics, you name it, we can put Himalayan pink salt there.
It's quite an untapped market, I feel like.
Indeed,
in Sri
it's an
Lanka.
untapped market, and we have done quite a lot of research. So it's not just we import something and we sell it. So we have done an extensive research for more than 3 to 4 years when we started it. But still almost a decade, we still do a lot of research on this, what are the things, where it is. Even there are references in Buddhism as well, like about the salt, Himalayan salt. So there's a lot of knowledge out there, but you don't find this if you just Google it. That's the sad part.
Definitely.
If you just Google it, what's the difference? You will not find all these things on Google. But there are books research articles, papers that have published differences and benefits and all these things about these different types of salts.
So it's not something that's new to Sri Lanka. I feel like something that has been forgotten in Sri Lanka.
Kind of. It was there, but it was not, that people didn't know exactly what it is and how to use it and what it is. That could be the reason. That's why we are also trying to, learn about it. So not just sell the salt, but learn about it. For an example, in Ayurveda, they say the daily dose is 500 milligrams to 1250 milligrams per day. So that's you can use it as a food supplement.
Right.
At the moment in Sri Lanka. So that's the legal background of it. So you are allowed to use it according to the Ayurvedic pharmacopoeia, that much. But if you take countries like Australia, Europe and New Zealand, they are using this as a cooking salt. But in Sri Lanka, we don't have the legal constraints as of now to use non-iodized salt.
Right.
So that's why there's a little bit of a controversial ideas.
Bit of a grey area.
Yes, bit of a grey area. We are also trying to sort it out. We are talking to authorities. We are talking to the Ayurveda. We are talking to the health ministry, trying to sort this out. But hopefully, things will come till clear out very soon.
It's actually news to me also that Himalayan pink salt is not just about a culinary sort of an application. It's not just another condiment that we might use. And you mentioned also it can be used for various other things. Let's quickly touch upon the product portfolio that you have for EverHealthy Private Limited. What are the products that you cater?
So basically, we have the Himalayan salt powder and the crystals. Those are the 400 gram packs. Apart from that, the Himalayan salt lamp. Right, so it's very interesting. Like, do you know people wear these crystals?
Yes.
Right, and gems.
Yes.
So they believe that has the energy of the earth that can absorb all the negative energy in the room. But you can't keep those precious stones outside. But since Himalayan salt had been underground for millions of years, they believe that crystals also have same kind of an effect. So they use it, you can keep it. It's a very nice, aesthetically pleasing product. It's a really nice gift item. So that's Himalayan pink salt lamps. And then there are some cooking slabs. Now, you might think, okay, what happens if we heat it? Nothing happens when you heat the salt. It can withstand a lot of heat and you can use it as a cooking slab. So you keep it on the stove and you can cook. So the trick is you don't put salt.
It's
the salt gets absorbed from the slab.
Got it.
So that's the trick. And then we have other products like Himalayan salt grinder, that's for your salads and everything. And now we are looking into a new area of products into cosmetics. So you talk about body scrubs, then there are products like pedisalt for foot soaks, and then balms, creams, shampoos. There is a range of products. We already supply to a lot of manufacturers in Sri Lanka. Now we are developing our own range of cosmetic products with Himalayan pink salt.
So there's a lot of things that we can explore and create using Himalayan pink salt, and then your company is definitely doing that. Yes. And as I mentioned earlier, there's a decade-long story that we need to talk about when it comes to EverHealthy Private Limited. But we'll get to that right after this very short commercial break. We'll be seeing you back with Business Best. Welcome back to Business Best. We are currently in conversation with the founder and CEO of EverHealthy Private Limited, Mr. Chathura Kalansooriya. Now, your company, incorporated, of course, started off in 2014. So that is a decade-long journey. Now, let's talk about it. How did you come about this business? What are the challenges that you faced? And how have the past decade been like for the company and for yourself?
Well, for me, I would say, imagine I graduated as an engineer and then you do something completely different.
Quite a different turn, I believe.
So there was a lot of resistance, but I would say my family supported me a lot. But apart from that, there were a lot of resistance, there's a well-paved path. If you are an engineer, there's a well-paved path for you to, take your life. But I always wanted to take up a challenge and do something different. So that's why I started it. So quite a bit of a challenge there. And also when it comes to a product like this, where it's not a very mainstream product, where there's a lot of approvals to be taken, there's a lot of convincing and that documentation part to be done. then it is really difficult. But the only thing is we kept on going. Like there were instances, especially that the entire, the imports were stopped, so we couldn't have the product because you can't manufacture this product. As I told you, you cannot manufacture this product. It's a natural salt. So if the imports are not there, you can't get it in Sri Lanka. So there were times like, unable to import because of the financial crisis, and there were times where the authorities have issues when it comes to the approval, so you can't sell the product. We have the product but we can't sell. But all those things we step by step had to go through and find out solutions, because the only thing is that we did it with the right intention. We did it with the right intention. So whatever the questions, whatever the problems that came, we were able to find solutions, and that's how we came. So starting from myself, I would say like a solopreneur, like, packing, delivering, answering customer calls, marketing, everything, photography, videography, all the stuff, to where we are with, we have a factory now dedicated for Himalayan pink salt. We have a staff working for it, and we have a distribution now. All these things, we are still in the process of going to the next level. But looking back 10 years, there's a lot of development, a lot of challenges and changes that had happened.
I think that's the bloodline when it comes to a business. If a business is started off with a lot of love, care and entrepreneurship, the longevity of a business is of course known for. And most importantly, for a business of your kind in the food and beverage sector with a very controversial product, I think transparency was of utmost importance, and clearly the way that you mentioned about your business, that has been very well maintained. But if I'm to ask you now, throughout this discussion, we've noted that, okay, there are so many or several misconceptions around the product that you're putting forward, which is Himalayan pink salt. Yes, you have taken all the necessary approvals. You have gotten approvals from the FDAs, maybe the Ayurvedic centers. You have that credibility behind your product. But when you are approaching consumers, at the end of the day, it is them we need to convince. Okay, this is a good product. You need to use it. Because no matter how many approvals that you might see, unless otherwise you convince your consumers, you won't really get the sale. How did you and your company go about it? How did you convince people to say, like, look, it's a new product, you must try it, there are no issues with it, it's good for you? How did you convince them?
So if you take the customers, now this comes like a bit of a luxury product as well as a little bit of a healthy, people label this as a healthy kind of a product. So earlier, like if you take maybe 5-6 years back, there was a market, like high-end market that wanted wellness and health. And we have a lot of expats and a lot of people, those who have stayed overseas. Now, if you have a friend or if you have any family staying overseas, just ask what is Himalayan pink salt. It's a common household item.
Definitely.
Himalayan pink salt is a common household item in those countries. It is a little bit of a luxury product because of the constraints that are here in Sri Lanka. So that's where we started. But now people value their health and wellness compared to 5 years ago. So when we have something, especially with all this Ayurvedic background and everything, people tend to use it. Now, there's nothing wrong with sea salt.
Yeah.
That's one of the most, like if you take Ayurveda, there are 5 different types of salt. So in the Himalayan rock salt is one, and the sea salt is another one, and there are other kinds of salt. So there's no, good or bad thing here. Not that you don't use sea salt, but this is a different product. So people, those who are into all this health and wellness, they tend to use it, and it has a lot of minerals and all these plus sides. But as I told you, people nowadays think about their health, more concerned about their health. That's how they use it. So what we try to do is to educate them. So it's about education. We give them knowledge, like this is the product, this is how it is, and these are the things, and these are not what it is. Some people think this is something same with some colorings. So we educate this to our customers. This is how it is, and these are the things. These are things that are not. So that way, they have the choice. We call the freedom of choice. So they have the freedom to choose what they are using. But as of now, as I told you, we can use this as a food supplement in Sri Lanka. Other than that, cosmetics, you can make your own body scrubs, bath salt at home. Just Google it, some FII DIY recipes, you will find all these things.
I think it's a key ingredient. I
Yes.
mean, if it's quite a niche market at the moment, but I feel like with the correct information and the approaches that you and your company is taking forward, I think pink salt could be the next big thing. So I think people, our viewers at home must be curious, okay, pink salt is a very new thing to our market. Yes, we would have heard about it, but none of us has really tried it yet. But of course, with the information and the promotion that your company has given, it's coming into markets. You mentioned that it's readily available everywhere as well. Let's talk about the manufacturing facilities that you might have. Now, you mentioned it's not manufactured, it's rather extracted, refined, and then sold. Let's talk about that. How does the usual process go when it comes to sort of putting pink salt into the market?
So we import the salt from Pakistan. That's where the source is. So basically, there's an underground salt mine. Now, if you happen to visit Pakistan, it's a tourist attraction place. Basically,
Right.
you can drive into the salt mine inside. So the entire mine is salt. So you can go inside. There are some places where you can rest and all these things. So from there, they extract the salt.
Okay.
And then we import it directly from Pakistan, from the supply, from the source. And here at the facility, we do the crushing.
Right.
We bring the crystals and we do the powder just to make sure the quality. Like when you make it a powder, now probably like 80% of the first time customers, they ask this question from us, is this genuine Himalayan salt? Now there are fake products in the market with colorings because it's salty.
Yes.
Taste is the same.
That's what, like there's a misconception
Yes,
saying pink
so-
salt is just
So
normal
you can
salt
put
with colour.
some colorings and make pink salt. But now I'll tell you a very nice trick. If you are using pink salt, just to see if it is genuine one, mix it with milk. When you
Okay.
mix it with fresh milk, what happens is if there's any food colorings, that gets extracted into the milk. So for the genuine pink salt, the color of the milk shouldn't change. So that's how you can identify if the product is genuine or not. So for us, for our customers, because we supply to like export companies, we supply to cosmetic manufacturers, so we have to make sure the quality is the best. So we bring the crystals and we crush it and make the powder here. So it is 100% genuine. So I think that is one of our key selling points, that authenticity and that genuineness. I think that is the reason.
So, from whatever I have gathered thus far from the discussion that I'm having with you, I feel like quality and information is of higher importance to you and your company. So, what are the future plans that you have for EverHealthy Private Limited?
So there was a idea in my mind. Now I did not name the company in pink salt. Like the brand name EverHealthy, it's a registered brand name, but I never used pink salt in my branding. The reason being, I have a bigger plan and a vision for EverHealthy. So Himalayan pink salt was the entry. So now we are into cosmetics and all, but then there's our plan in terms of EverHealthy is wellness. So pink salt is part of it. Of course, it's an integral part of EverHealthy. But then wellness, there's health and wellness a lot. Like if you take products into wellness, because people value health, people need health. So that's the biggest trend that's going to come up in the next couple of years, next decade probably. So we are focusing on that health and wellness. With Ayurvedic products, with all this, and also it can attract a lot of tourism. There are so many other things that we can do with salt and with all these affiliated products in terms of tourism, in terms of wellness and health. So that's the plan. So we are going to branch out into health and wellness. We have started already with cosmetics, and probably in the next few years, we can see that happening.
You started off with the plan itself. I think
Yes.
starting off a company, usually what people assume is like we have one product, we're going to market that and we're going to seek success from that. But you took a different approach. You decided, okay, this is my main product, but it's going to be one of the products I'm bringing into the market. And that's where I started it. So you mentioned now you went on to start off the business saying, okay, this is going to be the product I'm going to launch into the market. This is how I enter the business. This is how I enter the industry, but it's not going to limit me to this.
True.
I'm going to go ahead. It's going to be one product of the many products that I'm bringing to me. Now, you are not going to stick into one industry. You're on to pink salt, which is on to food and beverage that can be expanded into health and wellness, cosmetics and whatnot. Then you also mentioned you're going to touch upon the tourism factor of it and then so many more. So for an engineer to go from being graduated from an engineering school, you said you studied in India, that was your background, and you had a clear path You also mentioned this, for an engineer to graduate, it's a clear set path, quite an easy path once you fall into that track. But you decided, no, I'm going to take up a challenge, I'm going to take up a risk. And then for your betterment and for your luck, it actually paid out. So for our viewers who must be thinking, okay, I'm currently studying in one said stream, a stream that has sort of a risk-free entrance for a person of their caliber. But if they feel like, no, I want to start something new, I want to start something on my own. But the risk of being an entrepreneur is a massive burden. A risk that could actually make or break your life, a risk that a lot of people must be very afraid to put that step forward and go for it. But now you are a person who's quite successful at it. You have conquered that risk, you've conquered your fears, and then you've built a brand and a product. So to our viewers who are watching in, what sort of advice could you give from your stance, in your opinion? How should one tackle this idea of being an entrepreneur, and how must someone go through with it?
Right. So if you ask me that question, what I would say is, when we start something, right, it's all about the passion and the desire to do it. When you have the passion, then you find the ways to do what you want to do. And when you are doing that, I know it from experience, there will be people maybe saying, okay, this is not good, or you can't succeed. And if you still keep on going, that will be silenced. And they will not say anything, they'll just watch. And there comes a point, the same set of people starts applauding for you. Now, this could happen back and forth. Sometimes when you fail, there will be people saying some things to you, but when you succeed, there will be people applauding to you. It's the same set of people. So, only thing that was continuous or that was constant was the passion that you have within yourself. So, if you keep on that, external factors will keep on changing. You cannot change COVID. You cannot change the financial crisis in Sri Lanka. You cannot change the world, political and the situation over there. What you can change is what you have here. So if you have that passion, then it really doesn't matter what's happening outside. You can find the ways. And the other thing, you must be studying something else and thinking of, okay, I wouldn't be doing this, or maybe you are stuck at a job or a work that you are not really enjoying. It's not too late. That's what I would say. It's not too late. Everybody has a timeline. So it's not really too late for you to do what you love. Imagine if you can do what you love and you can make money. So that's the best lifestyle that you can imagine. It's not that you are waiting for the weekend to relax, you are relaxing 24/7. So that passion, it's a matter of finding it. I wouldn't say that it's easy. Finding the passion is the difficult part. 50% of the job is done when you find that one. Then you keep on building on top of that, and you might fail. I have started small other businesses over the past years. So this is not the only thing I started and succeeded. I'm still building this business, but there are other businesses that have failed. Now we don't talk about that. Now you are talking about the pink salt business that has erupted and that became a success, right? But nobody knows about the businesses that failed, the efforts that failed, the time that I wasted trying and learning about new stuff. That really doesn't come into the picture. So what matters is the results. People will applaud that, people will appreciate it just like now. But there will be instances where you are struggling to survive, you are struggling to find your path. And that's the time that you should never give up.
You find your passion, you work with it, and then you can be successful.
Then you can be successful, absolutely. You will find ways.
Definitely.
You will see avenues. When you have that mindset, that's when you start seeing opportunities. There's an opportunity right in front of you. Unless you want to see it, you won't see it.
I think that's quite a successful story coming for a person of your kind as well. A switch, you take the risk that you want to, you take that leap of faith, and it just might pay off. And even if it doesn't, you keep trying again and then going forward. I think it was such an insightful chat that I had with you, Mr. Chathura, of course, the founder and CEO of EverHealthy Private Limited. Of course, thank you so much for joining in on today's discussion, and we wish you all the very best in your future endeavors, and of course we hope that the pink salt brand in Sri Lanka will prevail as well. So thank you so much once again for joining in.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me, and it's great to be here. Thank you.
All right, then we'll see you next week with yet another episode of Business Best. Till next time, see you soon.